everybody, welcome back. Are you ready? Are you ready to come in and hear a story? Miss Becky has a great story. If you're ready, come on in.
Hi everybody, welcome back. We're so glad to see you. Miss Marty and I have been working really hard on these stories. I have a great story for you today, but we have to do a couple things first. Miss Marty and I have already lit our Christ candle. I'm going to take this small one and you all will go get yours out of your boxes and turn them on to create a sacred space. So this is a sacred space. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask Miss Marty to come and change the circle of the church year calendar.
Hi, Miss Becky.
Hi, Miss Marty.
All right. Here we were last week on the 5th Sunday of Lent. Now we're going to move to the last Sunday in Lent, which has another name. It's called Palm Sunday. And that's where we are. Look, next Sunday's Easter.
Thank you, Miss Marty. Wow, that's exciting. Palm Sunday. There's some very serious things that are getting ready to happen. So the story that I'm going to tell you today continues from the story that Miss Marty told you last Sunday, the Faces of Easter. And she taught us about when Jesus was a baby and he grew into a boy and a young man and then spent some time in the desert. So, if you're ready, I'm going to continue this story. So watch where I go to find this story so that you can always find it when you're looking for it. So it's right here on the Easter shelves. Okay. You may remember that Miss Marty told part of this story last week. So, just to remind you, this is the story of the Faces of Easter. And it's about Jesus' life. Jesus was born to Mary and Joseph. He was a little baby and they loved him so much. And then when he was a little older, he went with Mary and Joseph into the town and he did not come home with them. And they were looking for him and he was in the temple and he said he was with his father. Then Jesus was a grown man and he went to the river to be baptized by his cousin, John the Baptist. And then Jesus went into the desert for 40 days to find out what his work would be. What was Jesus' work? Jesus came back across the Jordan River and began to do his work. But what was his work? His work was to come close to people, especially the people no one else wanted to come close to. See, he has come so close to this blind man. He is so close that he has touched the blind man's eyes. When Jesus came close to people, they changed. They could see things that they could never see before. They could do things they could never do before. They became well. Jesus also told parables. You might remember some of the parables that we talked about and showed you earlier. Finally, he knew that he had to become a parable. So he turned toward Jerusalem for the last time. Jesus went to Jerusalem for the last time. It was the time of the Passover, and the city was full of people from many different lands. They thought Jesus was coming to be king, but they weren't paying attention. He wasn't riding on a great white horse when he came into the city. He wasn't being carried by soldiers. He was riding on a donkey, and it wasn't even his. He had borrowed it. Still, that Sunday, when Jesus came into Jerusalem, people waved palm branches, which was a sign of kings. On Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, Jesus went into the temple to teach them. Every night, he went back to the Mount of Olives with the 12. The people watched him and whispered that the Mount of Olives was where angels were supposed to come down to make an army to drive away the Roman soldiers. One day, when Jesus was teaching in the temple, he said, "Do you see that old woman over there? She's going to put something in the money box. Listen. Do you hear anything?" No. She put the smallest coin there in the box. That was all the money she had. Now here comes a rich man. He has so much money to put into the money box that he had to have help to carry it. His money made a huge clanging and ringing as they poured it into the box. Now I wonder which one really gave the most. The old man, the old woman, or the rich man? Some say the rich man gave the most. Some said the old woman. The temple guard said, "On Thursday we will take him away." But on Thursday they could not find him. That evening, Jesus and the 12 hurried through the dark streets to a house. They climbed up the stairs to the upper room and shared their Last Supper together. After they had everything they wanted to eat, Jesus took some bread and gave thanks to God for it. When he broke it and said something like this, "Whenever you break the bread like this and share it, I will be there." He also took a cup of wine, gave thanks to God for it, and said, "When you share a cup of wine like this, I will be there." What was he talking about? He was always saying things like that. How could they know? Still, they did not forget, and later they would understand. Suddenly, Judas got up and left. The rest sang a hymn and then went to the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives. Jesus wanted to pray. When he was finished, he joined the 12. But Judas came out of the dark and greeted him. This was a signal for the temple guards to take him. They, too, came out of the shadows and took Jesus away with them into the night. The 12 disappeared into the darkness as well. That night was a very confusing one. The next day, Jesus was taken outside the walls of the city and crucified. That afternoon, Jesus died. The sky grew dark. Jesus was taken down from the cross and buried in a cave. A great stone was rolled into the opening of the cave to close it like a door. Saturday was so quiet, you could almost hear the earth breathing. On Sunday, it was the women who had the courage to go to the tomb just to be close to Jesus. They wanted to remember, even if it was sad. When they came to the tomb, they found that the stone had been rolled back and the tomb was empty. Jesus had died on the cross, but somehow he was still with them as he is with us, especially in the bread and the wine. When you look at this side, the crucifixion, you know that the other side is there? Easter. When you look at the side of Easter, you know that the side of crucifixion is there. And you cannot pull them apart. Crucifixion, this is the crown of thorns, and Easter. And so things changed, even the color. So, wait a minute. I think something is wrong. Here's the beginning, here's the middle, and here is the end. So, if we only had this side, I can believe that that would be the end. But there is also this side that cannot be separated. The ending is a beginning, also an ending. So we cannot have this story in a line. So watch what I do. Let's see if we can make it a story that never ends. So look what we did. Look what we did. Now, this story can go on forever and ever and ever. I wonder what part of this story you like best. The baby, the temple, baptism, learning about what his life's work was going to be, healing the sick, getting close to the poor, the night when he was betrayed, crucifixion, resurrection. I wonder what part of this story is the most important. And I wonder where you are in this story. And I wonder if any of this story could be left out and we'd have the whole story. So now it's time for you to go to your craft boxes and create a piece of art that reminds you of this story. There's a lot to tell in this story, isn't there? And after you do, you can have a feast and thank God for everything you have from this story and for your family and your friends. And you'll say, Amen. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye, everybody.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.